Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have SANTE, the pride of Nazuma in the jungle. Now I have done a little bit of that myself since he's gone live as much as I could with the time I have. I also got filled and tried some support. That went less well, and obviously top laners, do whatever you want. But for the jungle, man, it's been tough to find some games that are interesting, but also showcase a lot of pros and cons. I will showcase some relevant clips of my own where appropriate, but we're going to talk a lot about the best ways to play him, best routes to go on, best items to build, and the potential rune choices we might have, as well as what is the viability of this champion in the future in the jungle, or is it another Virkayu own jungle kind of thing where it's like, I'm the only person who does it, to the point that no one thinks anyone else does it, even though I still do it. And in my game sense, from the games I played, I did feel like, hey, this is a bit own jungle-like, but less, which is the issue, and I'm going to address it. So we're going to obviously start with our Ntofu strikes, the Q here. Remember, you want to stack that up 3 times, and the 3rd time you knock them back. So for ganks, that's highly important. The runes on your screen now, you will see conqueror stuff, okay? Absolute conqueror stuff that people are testing mostly with secondary conditioning, overgrowth. You can try unflinching. You can obviously do maybe a shield bash kind of thing, although that's more conditional on your E basically. And we are going to go QWE, okay? And I'll talk about that as well. From now, the first clears, we're going from a red into a raptors. You can go grump into action, but you can 5 camp decently. The key thing is here, you want a leash. You could solo, you could try to be the hero, but getting a solo leash, or getting a leash is probably the best way to go about it. Now, we've done our red side here. We're going to go straight into the 5 camp. What I do suggest is, while you can, using that control ward to protect against invades. Because people are going to assume you're off meta, you're weaker, you're slower. This is lazy. We need to walk through here and do this and hippity-hoppity this. There he was charging his W. I don't want to rob you of the animation joy of watching him clear here, using the W there to get that unstoppable. And that obviously scales with your resistances, right? The damage reduction and your HP. Our Q scales with resistances. Our passive scales with resistances. We scale with resistances. And there's a little bit of AD in there for our ultimate amplification of the passive, and obviously on the Q, and obviously on the ultimate itself. But outside of potentially a Tiamat, I don't really foresee any sort of beneficial AD itemization at this stage. You definitely want to love, enjoy, and embrace a tank item that has HP and resistances. And for Season 13, and of course, Season 13, we're going to be talking all about that in this video. And of course, the Stoneplate. The Stoneplate rush, basically after your mythical first item, is nice. It's very, very nice. A lot of resistances, a lot of juicy stuff. Now, this is a great opportunity to show us the ganking angles that we can have here. We're flanking on the outside after 4 camp. That's absolutely fine. As you can see, we would have hit the 5 camp anyway. We have good gap close here. We're going to dash here to our teammate to shield him, and then we can knock them back with the W, and then you can start, of course, hitting your Qs and your auto attacks, because remember, the passive is crucial here. You hit him again, they're marked for 4 seconds, and that second time you hit him, that does max HP damage, right? And that's beautiful. And when you're all out, that's true damage. So we see the Kane here, 28 CS in the meantime. We're not going to cheekily wait in the bush. I think this is kind of damn obvious here. We're going to again dash to our target, our teammate here, to shield them, which is really, really nice. We use the unstoppable. That was brilliantly done. Okay, did you see that? Essentially, let's look at that in slow motion here, just so we can talk about the combos. Normally I wouldn't stop as much, but I think we're going quickly. Let's look at this. So we dash to our teammate, which increases the range of that E, okay, and of course shields your teammate. With this, you can go over terrain. Base form, you can't go over terrain. You can only go over terrain when you're all out. Now, we're going to dash there to obviously get the shield here, and basically you can go for your auto Q, which is what we want to do. Once he's used his mobility, we can do another auto attack here. Now we're using a W, charging it, because at the max range, you get the highest duration of stun, but you stun them. So that's the most important thing. Yes, your damage reduction is great, but it's a stun at the end, and then we clap his cheeks and Q again, and he dies. So that's a really good use of the early kit to show you the potency in ganks and in fights. Now, Camille has rotated here. We don't have the W up again. That's a 24-second rank 1. That is huge. Your little dash is a piss dash. It's an insult to all other dashes because you just don't have the range, and the utility from it. You could look to hold this wave here with the Asilas shoving in, but again, no reason to do that. We're super, super low. Let's do this. Charge up your W. You don't always want to get it onto the wall because you get that lockout animation. And Valaris explained this when he did his first clear in his channel. So, kind of baiting it out with Qs and autos and then shoving it into open space is fine. The damage is capped from that W as well, just so you guys know. Here we go. And it does scale with your HP. You can see that, right? HP mana, armor and magic resist. Now, what I had fun with, I did a 5 camp. I did a 5 camp going down, ganked bottom lane, got a nice first kill, and then because of the duration of that, I ended up doing a crook camp, going up to the Raptors, Wolves, and Grump again. And so you can do a healthy second rotation. Once you get 2 points in the queue, you do notice that your clear amps up really, really nicely. So it's just the first clear that's a bit of an issue. But as you can see, we are not, I don't know how to explain this. Like, we're definitely slow, but we feel slow. Even when I got some movement speed later in the game from Dragons and Boots, I still felt a little bit clunky and slow. You know, not clunky in the same sense that we always use the word clunky. It's tough to explain. You kind of have to try them out just to see for yourselves. But with Ornn, you've got such a potent engage and such an obvious disengage, and also peel kit, right? With Cassante, it really feels like this is significantly more so a disruptor peel kit. There isn't a lot of good engage in the all-out ultimate. While useful, I'll show you a double kill I got around a dragon. It isn't as useful as other tanks because it really takes you out of the picture completely. And yes, you have to reposition, but it takes you out of the picture and you lose all of that, those bonus tanky stats that you've worked on. But here we have a nice little lane gank. Unfortunately, the Silas yeets our ult, uses it, isn't able to kill. We use our W to get that again. Stun, pushes them, detaches them, get a little bonk on the Q there. So that's a great lane gank, but you can see already getting significantly compromised in experience relevant to the enemy jungler. Now we're trying to do a level 4 dragon, which I think this is a horrific decision. Obviously, this is a master tier game, not a challenger game. I gotta be very selective about replays on new champions in early days because you're not gonna get a lot of the great stuff, but I definitely think this dragon is silly. We should have just gone bottom lane here. And you don't have the damage to do it. So if you were worried or concerned or thought, hey, we can do that. No, you cannot. And see, now we're down 2 levels. So we are not down 2 levels because of Cassante. We're down 2 levels because our jungle pathing was compromised. Ooh, that hook would have hit if it was me. I guarantee you that. Again, we can use our dash. We can use a W to get him back into it. Use your auto attack, amplify your true damage, max HP passive with your auto attacks. Keep hitting those Qs. And I'm going to show you a level 3 gank I did using my Q to knock someone up. It's not the cleanest gank. It's terrible. It's literally my first game with a champion. But you can see there, in the case where when you're not able to hit that W and the champion's kind of moving away from you, you can use that final proc of the Q and you get them to knock back into your team and kills will be had. Now out of base, we're using our E to get back onto the map. But I think with a bit more intelligent sequencing, we would have been absolutely fine in terms of, you know, getting level 5 before that gank, not being too compromised in terms of level 6 and things like that. You see the knockback on the El Grump over there. You know, yeah, Balmy Cinders, without a doubt, we need it. I think the biggest issue for this current iteration of the jungle is that we need the Balmy Cinder Tiamat. As of Season 13, I can confirm to you that you will very easily be able to do a 5 camp with a leash, get a gank off, and then fall back to the 330 scuttle. So the HP is less of a concern. The speed of clearing is less of a concern. You can still kite camps reasonably well. There was definitely a better time clearing and sequencing and optimizing experience on PvE using Season 13 data than live. So as most of you will probably watch this now and then watch it again in Season 13, I will update it, don't worry, with optimizations. You know, just keep that in mind that it's going to be harder now. Therefore, in 2 weeks when Season 13 arrives, you're actually going to have a better time because you'll be trained in the fires of this diseased jungle we've had for 2 years, effectively. So our ult is now active. We have an RNG scuttle on the bot side. We know the Kane's most likely yeeting our blue here. Let's have a, oh, he didn't. He just kind of showed down. I was like, he's probably going to steal a blue, but he does not do this. And now we're going on to the dragon at level 6 with a Balmy Cinder, boots, null magic mantle, and a cloth armor. This is doable. It was easier to do the Herald at 6+ than it was to do the Herald with Ornn, for example, so that's nice. Ornn's initial clear speed and subsequent clear speed is significantly faster thanks to Brittle Procs and W, but you could solo objectives at this point onward, but you're not doing Mundo level 4, level 5 dragons, right? Or Vi or Shyvana. But that's good. We see him topside. We know he's probably topside. We're going to go ahead and snack an objective. Based jungling, as it were. Let's see, 103.49 to 62. You know, against like if this was a master jungler against lower elo junglers, he would have a CS lead. You showed. So, I mean, obviously we know because he took the Herald, but you know what I mean. He still showed anyway, which means we can maybe assume he's either going back to base direct or he's going for the Raptor camp, which does give us time to kind of counter jungle. Now the Kane, if he doesn't feel like he needs to base here, could shadow all the way back, but the Silas is kind of getting compromised here. So you see that the detachment there, worried about the bot lane moving in and the Silas being present and maybe Kane rotating over, but he's gone to go get his form. So in this case, an exercise in caution, definitely a time to do so. Not like from Interstellar, that was not the time to use caution, but now is the time to use caution. Our bot lane resets, their bot lane is there, they're kind of rotating. Yeah, you see, this is what you're concerned about. You don't take camps quickly enough that you can just mundo in for the blue Gromp and leave. And remember, Season 13, blue and Gromp will no longer... Yes. I'm sorry. Play violin music if you would like over the next 30 seconds, but no, it doesn't work. Can you still kite the blue to the Gromp to the blue, using that leash range to a reasonable degree? Yes, but it's not going to be, you know, not like this. So now we're down almost 30 damn CS, and this is the issue for me against farming junglers if you're not going to find those ganks early. But again, also this is the jungler not pathing properly. The jungler doesn't fully know Cassante. The jungler isn't optimizing their sequencing because they're so damn focused on Cassante. That is a risk though. Graves, Canes, they're gonna eat good against you. Like they should against an Ornn jungle, really, but they don't. Typically, Ornn, I can easily maintain 7 CSPM, and no one really counter jungles me because I can fight them, I can deal the damage. Cassante does not feel to have remotely the same damage as an Ornn or a Mundo tank jungle. Definitely not a Sejuani. So that is a slight concern. I do think we might need some damage amp overall on the champion, but that will depend a little bit on how he's performing in other roles, because I know he's going to be mostly a top laner. Here we go. We got to fight though. We're going to make sure we get that root. We're going to clap his cheeks, use our passive. We want to keep stacking that Q. Can we get the knockback? He ults before we're able to do so. There's a timer on that Q. You want to make sure you use it, but we don't have it active. The Brum rotates. We get the flash out. He Qs. We get the Nautilus ultimate. Here we go. We're going to keep going. Attack the target in front of you always as a tank here. We don't have W, and you don't ult there to survive because you lose all your stats, right? And you lose your tankiness in expense for damage. And it does reset your W, but here you're seeing the, and this is exactly what it felt like to play. This is a big issue with the team fighting and sort of how he feels as a champion. You're tanking, and it's like, I don't feel that tanky. It feels like so much of it is tied to that damage reduction on the W, right? I just feel like I don't have innate tankiness. Does that make sense? Like with Ornn and other tanks, like Sejuani's passive, for example, Ornn's passive. Mundo doesn't have the resistance scaling, but it has HP scaling, right? So you have that effective tankiness just by having so much damn HP that they can never get through it. Blade of the Rune King users can go suffer in hell, politely, you know. So that does feel like a bit of an issue where it's, I feel like without the W, you don't have some innate tankiness, you don't have enough damage. So there we use the ultimate just for pure damage, not overall, just to make sure we get to the other side, we activate everything. It makes your Q a basic attack reset, 100%. It resets the cooldown on your W. You lose that stun on the you lose the stun on the W, but you still keep its unstoppableness and obviously the damage that goes through. And your E range is extended. You can go over walls, and you can cancel the R whenever you like, right? To return one's tankiness. So that was not the best use of the ult, but as I said, I've already showed you that from my own games. Yeah, we're not seeing a lot of the Q utility, which is why I was worried about that. Maybe I can show you some cheese from a bot lane. I'll show that. You'll see the clip now. Cheese from bot lane, level 1. It's terrible. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest with you, but we get the knockback, we get the kill I die. ADC does the work. Using that passive stack, using the Q, it does have a lot of interesting use cases. We're just not seeing it in the live game as we return back. Nautilus hook misses, but he goes for the ultimate against the Caitlyn, which is just peculiar as hell. We use the dash again for shielding. Really great use of that E, for sure. Now we're going to chase. We don't have ult. Wait, I'm clicking on the wrong champion. We have ult in 30 seconds. There we go. Dragon's up. There you go. See, that W stun is great for disrupt, and you can see that was nice. Damage reduction into stun against the wall, getting that, and then moving back to your ADC or priority target. Repositioning is going to be huge. But it feels significantly more supportive, and I don't like that. I'm sure there's ways that we haven't yet optimized. Now, for me, to speed up your clear in the jungle, to speed up your mobility, I think fleet footwork is something we can try instead of Conquer, because if we look at the Conquer here, obviously, it doesn't show, the healing is 8. Now, Conqueror's healing is not why we take it anymore, but I'm going to show something on the main channel shorts, I think, shortly, within the next few days, showcasing the importance of the Conqueror healing and how we need to be significantly more specific when dealing with this healing instead of going, oh, only 500 healing, useless. When did you get that 500 healing? Did it allow you to make plays? So that's something we need to talk about. But here, the bonus AD stats we'll get, fine. The stacks, okay, it's not the easiest to stack, but we can. But here we go. See, we're using that, we gap closed, right? What we should have done is try to get onto her using Smite to hit our Qs. Here we go. We've got one Q. Next Q, we'll do the knockbacks. There we go. We keep clapping cheeks. We get the stun. There you go. See, that's what we want to do. Right there is a great example of how you want to chase down with Cassante. Using that W up front isn't that great. It's so easy unless you are coming from behind to avoid, because you stand still. It's not like you're moving like... See, it's the Ramus problem, right? They just removed that mobility limitation on Ramus, on the W, and now champion's like, oh, I'm free. Can do what I want. You know? It's like a baby when you change them. They're like, oh, I'm naked, I'm free, this is wonderful. They're like, yes, but you're cold, we need to dress you up, and then they get upset about it. I don't know. So, with the W, I think there might be some changes in the future where we could adjust the design to have some ability as Aatrox gets fisted, but we're still 7 of 11 KP, we've gotten 2 dragons, we're doing a solid job. You will not be a high econ carry 1v9 jungler. Get that out of your minds right now. You will be a tank, you will be a more supporter team fighter. See, here we go. Oh, that was nice. That was nice. That was very, very nice. Not the best use of the ultimate, but that was a great use of the Q over the wall. We can then dash to our teammate for the shield. Remember, all out gives us more damage. It resets our W, but then you're significantly more squishy. You feel squishy, and you don't feel like you do enough damage to offset that squishiness. And the enemy jungle is going to be 2 levels up. It's absolutely normal stuff. But that was a really good use of stacking your Q. Because remember, you can stack it on minions, reposition, use it on a champion, right? The stack isn't target specific. It's not like you need to use it on Caitlyn only for it to work on Caitlyn. It's an general state of being. So that's crucial to note. Now, on the side of runes as well, we're going into the Thormail here initially, and that is something I've kind of played with a little bit. You could go Gargoyles Rush, but obviously you need a bit more HP. The fact that our damage reduction scales so much with HP here, you see we're at 48% now. The passive only scales with resistances, that's important to note. This only with resistances, so the HP scaling is great for your shield as well as your W. Obviously, all out, you lose a lot of your damage. Sorry, your tankiness. Just yeet it away. It's gonna be interesting to play with. But the reason why we max that W is because the cooldown is significant. It goes from I think it's like 24 base to 16, and this point with haste it's 20 to 13. So he loves haste, whereas the cooldown on this one is significantly less varied. It's on the 7.5 to 5.83, and having that dash up is nice, and having the increased base healing is nice, but base shielding is nice, but right, the base shielding is the number that goes up. The scaling on the HP doesn't change. The scaling on the HP for that shield is the same. So all you're doing is getting base shield increase. So if you build HP first from your first item, whatever it is in this season, next season, Thormail, and you don't rank it up, you're still getting the benefit of the HP scaling, right? So the base shield is the only thing that goes up when you level it, plus a minimal cooldown increase. Whereas the W, you get all of the increases, huge amounts of scaling on the resistances and damage reduction, plus obviously the cooldown is nice. So that's why people are maxing that W second. I mean, look at this. Max, you can read all of that, right? Go to the wiki. It's all in the wiki. I'll leave it below. We take this tower, dash to our teammate here. You see how much more supportive it is. You're not going to look to engage. You're definitely a counter-engaged champion. Let's have a look here if we can get a good fight off, and I'll keep talking about the runes again. Dashing for repositioning, getting the shield, we're getting stunned, but look at this. Like, I don't feel tanky unless I'm using my W. I don't feel like I can eat as much as a Mundo, an Ornn, or a Sejuani. That's my initial thought process. See, now we're chasing a Rast who's just gonna run away. We're gonna ult him into the wall there, which will refresh our W. So using your ult before you've used your W is a bit of a mistake. You wanna make sure you're using that W. See, that's silly. Use your W as practically as you can before you ult, and then you get that reset. So you're getting the stun, then of course you get the damage reduction after ulting, plus that extra damage. So keep that in mind as well. The runes I'm trying, as I said, fleet footwork, stickiness, sustain, healing in the jungle, nice to chase down targets. That blue smite is going to be absolutely huge. You want to be able to gap close it initially with your E if possible, smite them, make sure you hit that Q for the 80% slow, and then you want to keep chaining your passive auto attacks so you can get the Q3, which is of course the knockback plus stun, and then you can use your W as subsequent CC if you need it. But if you open up with that W, unless you're flanking from behind, it's not going to make sense. So Fleet Footwork allows you more stickiness and healing. I would try that as well. One of the runes I tried as well was approach velocity. And I actually had that, I checked the timing, the uptime wasn't as much as Mundo, but it was decent, right? It wasn't like it was like 2 seconds of uptime because the Q is a slow, right? The W is a stun. Here we go. We're getting that dragon, good smite. We're repositioning, again, the shield into that Q, so that was nice. And we're getting knockers from the Aatrox here. We have a Q up available. It's not huge range. We're going to hit that slow there. We're going to reposition a little bit. The knockback there on that Q3. Brahma's going in. We're going to ult the Brahm here. Now we're going to lose our tankiness, but you do get a lot of damage. It should be a dead one. He flashed. There we go. So we went for the E, and we can flash auto attack or flash Q or Q flash to get the kill. That's the thing. It's like Zed or Poppy. You can Q flash actually. And there's a little interesting video circulating around about a W in sec where you charge a W. As the W is about to hit max range, you flash to the target and it will stun them, knock them back. So practice that and practice tool and dummies. Don't flash your W. And as you're about to hit the finality of the W, you flash onto the target. It's quite a tight window, but interesting mechanics. So hopefully you're getting a lot of value out of the tips of this video. But yes, 5-4-6. How can we win this game? Because Ross is obviously, okay, so Vayne is doing things. Vayne is not good for us. Hyper range, mobile comps are not good for us. Blade of the Rune King abuses are not good for us. Rost is not good for us. We got a shield here we can use soon. 5 points into the queue. The ultimate here is up very, very shortly. I wonder if we get to see a nice ultimate through the wall in this one. Here we go. Nope. See, the Ntofu Strike's cooldown is definitely something he's kiteable. It's predictable. You're not going to kind of, see, there you go, over the wall with the E to a target. Oh man, it was so frustrating. I went mid lane to gank, and I got trapped by the enemy jungler in the mid laner, and I'm pinging my mid laner to come to the wall so I can dash to you and we can get out. Nah, doesn't have any idea, you know? It's really, really funny. Okay, we got a fight here. Let's see what we can do. Aatrox is going to go for the wall, try and get onto the Caitlyn here. Chasing down, double root. Right, well, we're not even in that. I mean, that's what I felt too. I felt like I was being kited too much. Here we go. See, the 80% slow. Use your gap close to stay with them. Make sure you keep auto attacking. There you go. See, once you've got someone in a Q spam lockdown with your E and your auto attacks, it feels nice. Which is why the approach velocity, I think, is an interesting idea. But shield bash, conditioning, unflinching, revitalize, yeah, I suppose you could. Plus overgrowth are good. Nice use of the ultimate again. Remember, you get them locked out if you go against a wall. If you go against a wall here, right, we have to end it first, and then I can show you the description again. I want to read it to you. But that was a nice use of the damage profile, you know? Getting out ahead over the wall here. What I don't like is with these champions, Bel'Veth and Cassante, this conditional mobility over walls. It's like they're kind of pulling the reins in on the mobility, and people think Cassante's some hyper mobile champion. He's not. Like, you do feel kiteable. So here we go. You do get the Omni Vamp, obviously, but it says that if you knock them back over the wall, they are briefly stunned. And then you dash after them, and then you got all out for 20 seconds. So if you can get them into the wall, you get them stunned as well, whereas otherwise you just knock them back. So using your W is critical, I think, as much as possible. Okay. This is finito. It's definitely a good item. I do like it. We want as many resistances as possible, though, so the Randuin's, Stoneplate, Force of Nature, anything with the highest amount of resistance and decent HP is good. I do think there is a world where you could justify a Wall Mogs once you've stacked as many resistances as possible, but I feel like if your mythic item gives you resistances, like a Locket or HP like from a Frostfire, for example, then you don't really need it as much and you can focus more on resistances. Nautilus ult. Rooted in space and time. Chasing down. Q for the zoning tool. Doesn't really do anything here. Aatrox is in the back line. See, you just unpeeled you a little bit here. We dash for the shield. Like, you can't engage in that sense because you get kited. See, now we miss the opportunity to peel. Can we get the clap cheeks stun? There we do, we do. Stun with the W, knockback with the Q3, very, very nice. And now we can chase down. So it's going to take a lot of good team. There we go, over the wall, taking the Rust away from his team. We get all of that Omnivamp, and it's enough to keep us alive. We dash again to the vein. So that was a good team fight. Patience, peel, stun the people that are attacking your carry, use your ultimate as a chase down to finish off target, increase your damage profile, and obviously lose your tankiness. We could probably justify a Baron here, to be honest with you. They can probably take both, but he wants that Mountain Dragon Soul. So, a couple other notes, things I need to mention to you that are kind of crucial to the kit. I'm mentioning this concept of, hey, we're doing this all-out physical damage, and we're losing our tanky stats, and we're gaining this attack damage and an Omnivamp, right? Well, that damage you get from your all-out scales with your... resistances. So, you know, if you build all the resistances in the world and you press all out into someone, you do more damage, right? So it's a switcheroo. Also noting the Q will have a 1 second less cooldown when you go all out and will no longer slow. So you lose a stun from the W, you lose a slow from the Q. You're significantly more of a fighter in that sense. See, now we've got 2 points in the E, and we have the Mountain Dragon, so that's a really good combo for us. You know, like, maxing the E there would be a little bit redundant. The cooldown's pretty nice, too. Like, doesn't feel like it's too high or too low, to be honest with you, based upon this, but for me, that is the most difficult aspect of the kit, is finding the sweet spot, the best use case for that ultimate. Because it does feel like when you're frontline tank, you just don't have the same engage and ability to withstand all the damage, because if Sejuani just starts taking a whole bunch of damage, I just ult and engage on you. I've got my Q, I've got my E, I've got my W. With Ornn, if someone starts attacking me, well, I've got my QE combo, I can throw in an ultimate there, I've got brittle procs with my W, and I do a hell of a lot of damage. With Cassante, it's your Q, and it's like this. You know, whereas Poppy has that same thing, but she has more mobility, she has a speed up, she has a knockback, not in her ultimate, so it's going to be interesting to watch and see how in Season 13, with the new items, we feel like the damage profile is, with the boosted stats. Again, nicely done by our team there, which, this is it, my friends. It's not going to be some kind of sexy Giga Tank play from the top lane. There you go, nice little stun there. We do get repositioning with our... Wait. Oh. Too much was happening at once. Okay, so that was quite a busy fight. I need to start again. I couldn't even get the words out. So we free stacked our Q. We're going in on the Braum here. We use our W to dash in. The Braum dies, we stun the Ross. We reposition with our teammates in that E. We ult to try and get him out of our team and survive, but we're not able to survive, but he is completely detached from his team. So sometimes, lots of times, you will feel like a bit of a sacrificial lamb. It's not what we want, but hey, as a tank, that is what we are sometimes. If we can take away the most fed member and slap him somewhere else, then that's exactly what we're gonna do to keep our team alive. And if you're not thinking like that, then you ain't no tank player. It's true. I don't lie about those things. I'm very honest about tank sacrificialness. Right, what do we have now? Finally, the stone plate. This is what it felt like. It just felt like a bit of a drag econ-wise. I'm sure there'll be more optimized builds. I think a locket is kind of cool in principle, but it's not going to be great for the jungle. You need the Balmy Cinder 100%. Season 13, as I said, that's what's going to concern me, is not having these Balmy Cinder mythic items for clearing, but it's going to be easier to clear even without them, so I think that'll be fine. And the added damage from the resistances we have here. See, a good peel on the Vayne, again, very, very nice. We get that Q3 proc as much as possible. Keep sticking to people. See, now we're tanking. Look at this. Look at this. Keep chasing them down. We're going to have an E up again in a second here. I think the red smite is great, but I think blue smite is going to be absolutely broken if you could use it with your Qs. Slows, guarantees a knockup. Anything that guarantees that Q3, I think, is critical. Here we go. We have the W up again. We can use that whenever we want. We knock back the Rost. We do the knockback over our heads back into the team. We're just zoning at this point. We can take him away with the ultimate here. But as you can see, there we go. But it is Rost repositioning and we die. So hopefully you're seeing, probably could have just done the Baron, but hey, I don't want to coin flip against a damaging entity. That is always an issue. Now, what leads to the end of this game? We're going to reconvene after respawn. So you're seeing down 3 levels here. I do think with a bit better pathing and a bit better team fighting, and a bit more learned playing, that will have less of this experience gap to carry jungler. But to be honest with you, this is, I fear, what we're at the moment. We're not Giga tank carries like a Mundo could be, a Sejuani can be. but you can definitely carry games in the most unknown ways. We're able to get that smite. King goes way too aggressive into this. We reposition with that E again into a team fight. We're hitting that Q onto the Camille. We get ulted. We're turning around here. We're going to try and use our W onto the Silas, but he's already dead. We ult the Caitlyn and just straight up kill her. Remember, you can just use your W for the damage and auto and Q and use your Omnibam. So you're just a straight up fighter once you ult. There you go. Very interesting game. 7-6-19. Basically the same kind of stuff I'm feeling in my games I'm seeing in this game. You can see that it's definitely fun. You can see that there's a lot of potential here. The clear speed issue is only really on the first rotation, and even then, absolutely fine to do a 4-5 camp into a ganking action. You will have no issue doing that. I had a lot of fun playing it. This looks like a lot of fun, but it's going to be so difficult, and I think you can see from the way I'm talking that learning to use your ultimate, your Qs and your Q3 specifically with your W, and the repositioning on the E is going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be a high skill expression tank. It's going to take you a lot of games to get used to how to teamfight with him. It's so unique, and I'm excited for that challenge. I'm very open and honest in this video. I'm not going to tell you that this is some broken tank. I kind of said in Discord he's going to have like a 35% win rate like Ornn. Currently, I think it's like 37, so we're close enough. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. Please do like, share, and comment if you did. Be aware and be on the lookout for more SANTE Jungle content coming up as Season 13 arrives. And all the gameplays from now on will have Season 13 in mind as we talk about it, so stay tuned for that. And as always, I will see you all in the next Ntofu.